Throughout this course, we are going to be educating you on the essentials of bar intensity without taking you through step by step the basic bar exercises. Moving on to upper body. Upper body is 12 to 15 minutes in length. The duration, 12 to 15 minutes, is a little bit longer than what you might be used to in the bar classes you teach or in the bar classes you take. I would say on average, upper body sections are around 8, maybe 10 minutes, and there's a heavier focus on the thigh series. We do heavier focus, or I should say equal focus, upper body because we want a strong upper body. But also in our upper body section, we're incorporating lower body as well. So you're still getting a lot of lower body work, but we just want to equal out the upper body as well. Okay. So 132 beats per minute. This falls within our range. We're gonna do the same warm-up series again. Arms up, knee lifts, take it up, and up. Lift, you can already hear that beat. We lift, we lower, we lift, we lower. I'm more excited teaching this. If I had a room of 20 people behind me, I think we'd all feel the energy off each other. The music sets the tone. We're ready for work. Alyssa's got those arm pulls, arms hugging, pulling into the sides of the body. She's got that energy pulling down, elbows in, energy reaching up, fingertips to the sky. Now start to straighten those legs. Keep those arms moving. We're pulling together. We're pulling apart, piecing together our choreography. Keep those arms reaching straight up tall. Now slice it down. Opposite arm to leg, grow tall. Maintaining that form. With the straight leg kicks, sometimes we might drop that chest down because we want to move with momentum. No momentum here. Shoulders tall, spine long, 4, add the torso twist. Twist, twist, we've got 4. Right here to finish, 3, 2. Last one, let's take it down. So right there, are you breathier? Okay, so she's a little bit more out of breath. Her body feels warmer. Body temperature warmer. I think you just felt more energy overall. I felt it. I hope you felt it as well. Okay, so if you haven't been standing up doing this with us, maybe start again, play it, and feel how different it was between the first song and the second song. Here you have some touch points. There should be 3 of them. You have the back of the head, you have somewhere in the mid-back, and then you have right here by the hips, tailbone, sacrum area, call it your sacrum. So you should have your 3 touch points. Now, when you're standing upright, something could happen, like let's go ahead and bring your head down, your chin down towards your chest. I lost a touch point. Go ahead and, yes, okay, so she's posteriorly tilting. I lost a touch point in this area right here. Go ahead and press your hips back, press back, back, back. Yeah, okay, so I definitely lost my touch point right in the middle of the spine. Okay, go back into optimal position. You have your 3 touch points. You wanna maintain these touch points no matter where your torso is in space. Let's look at a squat, for example. Press those hips back, hinge your torso forward. Yes, hands in prayer, perfect. Go ahead and pull up just a little bit. Yeah, release slightly right there. Yes, perfect. Okay, so here we have our 3 touch points. We have the back of the head, we have the mid-back, right in between the shoulder blade area, and then we have our sacrum. Go ahead, Alyssa, and round your shoulders forward for me. Round your upper mid-back. There we go. Where's the touch point? We lost one of them. We have 2 and 3, but we lost 1. Come back up. What's a way we can find neutral pelvis with muscular contraction? Not just feeling the bony landmarks, but feeling it with our mind-body connection. It's that equal activation between your low, deep back and your low, deep belly. Okay, so we're gonna start with a pelvic tuck, or this is a posterior tilt. So you're gonna go ahead, you're gonna scoop your abdominals, you're gonna draw your sit bones together. You're gonna go ahead and lengthen the space in your hips in the front, and you're going to feel your low, deep belly contracted. Now go ahead to your anterior tilt. Feel the muscles in your low back. Maybe you have a little bit of work from those hip flexors. Your sit bones widen. One more time. Posteriorly tilt, find your low, deep abdominals, and then anteriorly tilt, find your low, deep back muscles. Now find some place in the middle with your pelvis where you have equal activation in your low, deep belly and your back. That's going to be your best gauge for your neutral pelvis. You could do this standing, you could do this exercise at the bar, you could do this when you're lying on your stomach and prone. It doesn't have to be a setup per se. It could actually be a part of the exercise to get you into movement. You're working, you're contracting, you're setting yourself up for proper alignment down the road. Lift, push. We're almost done here. After this, you can take a moment for yourself. You can breathe. We'll take a little bit of stretch. Push, lift. We've got 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead, set it down. Okay, so what we had here was, we had 4 8 counts on one leg, and we did 4 variations. We had 8 counts on another leg. I hope we did. I hope I was on, with the same 4 variations. I'm going to guess, now I'm not Alyssa, but I'm gonna guess that second side felt it a lot more. Oftentimes I'll be in class and we'll do 4 8 counts and I come so close to fatiguing. I wish there was just a little bit more to push me past my comfort zone. Now, yes, sometimes 4 8 counts can be enough, but usually we need a little bit more because this is our own body weight. It's Alyssa's leg. There's no weight attached to it other than the weight of her body. So we need to up that duration to increase the intensity. Other benefit is that you can have increased duration without making your class seem boring. If I were bicep curling only for 2 minutes with nothing else changing, that would be pretty boring. But when I bicep curl for 2 minutes and I add on calf raises and I add on squats, maybe I add on a knee lift at the tail end, I've been bicep curling for 2 minutes, but I've been doing all these other things that create some excitement, that make your mind think of different things. All of a sudden, you don't even realize you've been bicep curling for 2 minutes. So you can up the duration, which is what we need. We need increased duration to create some muscle fatigue without seeming boring. Now, this heel lift option is where we get into intense strength. From here on out, everything else we add in is going to be intense strength as well. Why? Because we're engaging those calves. We're lessening the base of support. Now look how long she's been leg lifting. I don't know, it's not getting too boring yet, right? Maybe for her, maybe for you, but not for me. I have so much to say. Go ahead and keep that heel lifted, but bend that supporting knee. A nice deep bend. Now another thing here, if you need to walk that foot forward, you can. If this knee bend is uncomfortable for the knee joint with the knee reaching forward, maybe step that foot a little bit more forward to adjust. Let's get a deeper knee bend here, just a little bit deeper. Yeah, so a deliberate knee bend, yeah, so that thigh is feeling it, layering, building. Remember it, you can straighten that leg at any time. You can place that heel down at any time. Keep lifting. It's 4. Contract that supporting quad. 2, we're gonna add on as the leg lowers, the supporting leg straightens. As the leg lifts, the supporting leg bends. Yes, right here. Little coordination. Gotta turn that mind on. It's bigger range of motion, but I wouldn't call this intense cardio. The heart rate's gonna elevate, but not to our vigorous target heart rate, right? Lifting and lowering. Remember, supporting leg is optional. We can go back to where we started because this glute's gonna work no matter what. 4, 3, 2, go ahead, revision. Because when we know how to group together our exercises, it naturally increases the duration for our target group of muscles working. And as we know, the longer the duration, the higher the intensity. Understanding how to group together exercises will allow you to strategically plan your classes. Now think about strategically planning. I mean, for a very long time, me personally, when I started teaching, I was just choreographing. I didn't really have a plan or a reason why. Sure, I would have certain exercises that were thigh exercises that I learned as glute exercises, and I would put them in my class, but I didn't understand how muscles functioned fully. Therefore, I could not strategically group together my exercises in a way that targeted the same group of muscles for an extended period of time. Okay, so your hip joint is a ball and socket joint, right? So your ball is the top head of your thigh bone. Your socket is that hip joint. So it medially rotates, internally rotates the thigh within the hip joint. You think about wrapping that thigh inward, that's medial rotation. Think to yourself, if you're teaching barre, how much internal or medial rotation do you do? Probably not much at all. Medial internal rotation is not something you typically do in a barre class because if you're a dancer or knowing that barre is pulled from dance, internal rotation isn't a part of dance. It's considered sickling, something that's, kind of ugly. External rotation, lateral rotation is what's pretty and what's beautiful. But if we're talking about effectively working all portions of the body, medial rotation is something we have to strongly consider. It's so effective, outer portion of the hip, inner portion of the hip, we need to start adding it in. And I'm at fault of this too. I naturally like to default to external rotation or working in parallel, right? But medial rotation has big impacts. 4, 3, back leg's going to lift. Lift that back leg, maintain nice hip extension so you can squeeze those glutes. Medial hip rotation, back leg, squeeze it. Wrap, I should say, versus squeeze. Wrap it inward. Medial hip rotation, a little bit different than adduction. We're squeezing, wrapping inward. Now, yes, medial hip rotation will work the outside of the hip, the glutes, but it also works inner thighs. We know those adductors play a role in medial rotation, and it's accentuated when we are in hip extension. We've got 4 more. Big squeeze, that's 4. Wrap her around, it's 3. Then we stand up tall. 2. Last one. Go ahead and stand up, shake it out. Okay, so this was a series that incorporated hip flexion. It incorporated hip extension, so 2 very different positions of the hip. It incorporated external lateral rotation. It included medial internal rotation. We did straight leg work, we did bent leg lunge work, but my focus at all times was that left inner thigh. So if you need a reminder, go back in the manual where we talk about ways to target the inner thighs, right? We know that in external lateral rotation, hip flexion, we target inner thighs. Okay. We know that adduction squeezing in targets inner thighs. We know flip around, find lunge. Once again, adduction squeezing in targets inner thighs. And then lift this back leg up. Medial rotation, while in a hip extension position, is gonna target those inner thighs. Stand yourself up. So while you will be finding and feeling a lot of different muscles in the lower body, you probably felt some outer thighs too, the main focus for me to cue and to plan around was the inner thighs. Active transitioning is a part of our class principles. It's something that instructors who observe us call out. They notice it. So when they see a bar intensity instructor teach, they say, wow, your transitions are so smooth, they're so active. Once the music starts, your body does not stop moving until the end. Active transitions are something that is learned over time. It doesn't happen right away. It can be a little bit challenging because you have to plan your transitions just as much as the choreography itself. You can have 2 instructors. We'll say instructor A and instructor B. They'll teach the exact same choreography with one difference. Instructor A will teach with good transitions, but not active. Instructor B will teach with active, smooth, seamless transitions. Instructor B's class will feel more challenging, even though the main exercises are exactly the same. We're gonna pull apart the shoulder series and we're going to piece together our tricep series by doing essentially one body part at a time while remaining other parts of the body in an active state. We have 4 more, then we hold the legs low and the arms high. 2 more, hold that position, hold it right here. The arms are active, they're not resting. This is upper body work. We're gonna keep them active. Take the toes, turn them forward. So now we're in a wide parallel stance. Those arms, reach them out to T, find nice long length, hold it there. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna bring those arms back behind the body, hinged forward from the hips, and get into our hinge position right here. We could do little lifts or kickbacks or anything we wanted to do within our tricep series. Getting into cueing. This section, for the most part, is all about the words that you say. So leading up to this point, a lot of what we have been talking about is more about your choreography, it's more about the positioning of the body, but this right here is about your words. Okay, this cue, back of the head lifted neck is active while keeping your gaze down at, and then it says a specific something. In this case, your gaze is going to be down to the front of your mat. So back of the head is lifted, neck is active, but we cue the gaze because if we say back of the head lifted, you could lift too high, right? So back of the head's lifted as if you're pressing up against my hand or some surface. It's long, ears in line with the shoulders, neck is active, gaze down. Now her neck, the muscles in her neck are turned on, they're supporting the weight of the head, so the rest of her back, her mid-back, her low back can fall into place. But sometimes, certain things that we say, or the way we say them, can come across as negative. For example, if this is too hard for you, set your knees down on the ground. If you're not sweating by now, you're not working hard enough. If you're not out of breath, you're not kicking high enough. Or, don't look down. Okay. So with the first two examples, what did I do? I set a tone that was a little bit negative. I set a tone that could make people think, maybe this is too hard for me because I need to put my knees down. Or I'm not sweating, so I must not be working hard enough. But I feel like I'm working hard. I guess this just isn't the class for me. Or if I say, don't look down. Well, then not only is it negative, but where do you look? Do you look up? Do you look right or left? You don't know where to look because I've given you no direction. All I've told you is in a negative way what not to do. With so much to say, how do you organize your thoughts? That is a common question we get from trainees and from other instructors. How do you cue setup, clarity, alignment, motivation, and modifications all at once? What's the most important thing to say first to get your class moving and into action? Well, there's certainly a hierarchy to help us organize our thoughts. And if you're thinking, how do I say it all? The answer is you don't. You have to break it down. Some things are more important to say first. Other things can wait until later. And that's what this cueing hierarchy is going to help you with.